And then we finish off with looking at the statement of shareholders' equity. So in the statement of shareholders' equity review here, this activity, we're basically using a statement, and I'm asking you some questions. This is an express script statement. It doesn't say that, but I recognize it. Okay, so I ask you some questions in the activity about this, and those questions have to do with looking at the information you see and answering questions about what led to this in the general ledger. So when you are looking at the net income number, there's a few things to point out. You see this net income in the total, see the net income line, and you go all the way across and you see the 1330. The other place you would find that in the financial statements would be on the income statement, right? It also is the first line on the statement of cash flows, and it's also here in the statement of equity, right, in the retained earnings column. So 3 places you find this number, the 1,330,000. If you look at the, let's find another one, the foreign currency translation. Do I not see that? My notes say it's on here in my face. It's actually in the other comprehensive income item. It's this 1.9. If we were to look at the other comprehensive income statement, we would see it as a foreign currency translation. When you see the, if I say find the comprehensive income total, what would it be? It's going to be the combination of that net income and the other comprehensive income item. You'd put those two together to get a total of 1332. Okay, where else would I find that? I'd find that on the statement of comprehensive income. But for, thinking about the statement of shareholders' equity, you see the pieces. And we talked about the fact that the net income is coming from the income statement, and all of those temporary accounts are closed into retained earnings, which is why they're in this column. We talked about that other comprehensive income gets closed into the accumulated other comprehensive income. It's also a permanent account, and this is temporary accounts get closed into it. When you add those two pieces together, that would give you your total comprehensive income for the period. When you find the stock split in the form of a dividend, it's way up here at the top. And I ask you, is this a large dividend or a small dividend? Here's how you would kind of back into that. There's a couple of ways. One is you could look and see what the beginning common stock is, 3.5, and this is 3.4. That tells you that's a pretty large dividend, right? It's basically a 2-for-1. And another way you'd look is you could say, look, it came out of paid-in capital and went right into common stock, 3.4, 3.4. So that's how you know there wasn't the market value, which would have been from a small stock dividend. But here you see like 345, 345. It's a large stock dividend. And then if you find all of these items on the balance sheet are going to be on the balance sheet. All of these totals are going to be there. Yes, they're all going to show up in the balance sheet section. And then I think I ask you to look at we talked about maybe the fact that if you look at this retirement of treasury shares that show up right here, cancellation of treasury shares, this is basically the journal entry that we just looked at, where treasury stock was credited and paid in capital was debited and common stock was debited, and all the difference went to retained earnings. So that is essentially the journal entry we just looked at in Activity 2. Okay, so some things about this statement overall that you should at this point make more sense of than maybe you did at the beginning of Chapter 18. But you should be able to look at this statement and kind of back into those things if I have questions about, like for this one I could say, okay, if you saw this on a statement of shareholders' equity, could you show me the journal entry that resulted in those issuance of common shares? And here you can see this is the par value. This is the additional paid in capital. And you put it together, and that tells you what the cash amount was, if it was for cash. Yeah. So there you go. We're done. I think we have some. Yeah, there's all the questions. Blah, 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 blah. We just talked about them all. The end. Finished with Chapter 18.